Millionaire's baby silences all amidst shocking false accusations against his humble employee. Ethan Price stood amid the chaos of the bustling city, a world of concrete and steel that buzzed with life. His empire was built on the backs of loyalty, and today that loyalty was being tested in the most brutal way. News flashed across screens and tabloids. Millionaire's baby silences all. That baby was his daughter, a beacon of innocence amidst a storm he could hardly comprehend. But that was only the beginning. Rumors were swirling like dark clouds around Mia, his most devoted employee, and they threatened to rain down destruction on her life. Mia, a single mother who had dedicated herself to her job, was suddenly at the center of a media frenzy. The allegations were ludicrous, accusations of theft and fraud. The whispers slipped through the streets, clawing at Mia's reputation like violent winds. People exchanged glances, pity mixed with judgment, painted their faces as they passed her by. "Did you hear?" one woman gasped. "How could she do that?" The whispers turned into shouts, and before long, Mia was nothing more than a pariah. Ethan clenched his fists, feeling a tightness in his chest. He knew Mia, her heart, her struggle. He had watched her juggle work and motherhood, her selflessness shining bright against the backdrop of his business acumen. But here they were, the walls closing in, and all he could think was, how could this happen? Questions tumbled through his mind, and with each one, Mia's daughter flashed in his thoughts, a reminder of everything at stake. In the dim light of his office, Ethan found a flicker of hope. Somehow the source of these lies could be traced back to an old friend, someone he had trusted without question, now emerging from shadows painted with envy and revenge. The more he dug, the deeper the roots of betrayal unfolded. What had ignited this fury? Who was so willing to destroy Mia's life? The tension crackled in the air, and then came the twist. A revelation unfolded. Mia held a secret about her past, one that intertwined with Ethan's own history. It felt surreal, a link neither had anticipated. It was as if fate wove their stories together only to throw them into turmoil. As the weight of the world pressed on both of them, Ethan knew he had to stand beside Mia. But the deeper he ventured into this conspiracy, the murkier it became. The clock was ticking, and every passing moment pulled them closer to the edge. Just when they thought they had a plan, fresh obstacles emerged, each one more daunting than the last. Beneath the relentless gaze of the public and the unyielding grip of scandal, Ethan and Mia faced their demons. Would they uncover the truth in time? And would they find the courage to confront what lay ahead together? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ethan's heart hammered in his chest as he turned the last corner toward Mia's humble apartment. He was ready to confront the storm, to protect the woman who had stood by him. But just as he reached for the doorknob, a piercing scream shattered the night. It came from inside. "Mia!" he shouted, panic slicing through him like ice. He slammed open the door, the sound echoing in the hallway. The dim light from a lone lamp illuminated the chaos. Mia was on the floor, her hands trembled, and her eyes wide with fear. A man stood over her, one Ethan recognized from his past. Jake, the friend he hadn't spoken to in years. Jake's face twisted with something dark, something Ethan couldn't grasp. "Mia, are you okay?" He rushed toward her, his mind racing. "Stay back," Mia cried, her voice shaking. But it wasn't Ethan she was warning. It was Jake. "Don't play innocent, Mia," Jake sneered, his eyes glinting with malice. "You thought you could hide it forever? I won't let you." Ethan stepped forward, fists clenched. "What's going on here, Jake?" Jake laughed coldly. You don't even know, do you? This mess. It's all her doing. She stole from you, Ethan. She's been lying to everyone. Mia. No, that's not true. Ethan's voice was a raw whisper, his world flipping upside down. Mia looked up, tears streaming down her face. Ethan. Please, it's complicated. I never meant for any of this to happen. But Jake didn't stop. Complicated? She's been running a scheme. The money you trusted her with? It's gone. Into a black hole because of her. She's been conning you every step of the way. Ethan felt the walls closing in. The shock hit him like a punch to the gut. Could it be true? Tell me this isn't true, Mia, he pleaded, desperation clawing at his throat. But before she could answer, the door burst open again, revealing a police officer and two more figures. Mia's daughter in their arms, crying. We received a tip-off about a disturbance, the officer said, looking between them. Ethan's heart sank deeper. No, not her. He tried to reach for the girl, but the officer held him back. Stay back. We need to assess the situation, the officer said convincingly. But for Ethan, it was like his entire world was crumbling. He turned to Mia, searching her eyes for something, anything, and found only fear. Mia, please. The officer was separating Mia from her daughter. Panic surged through Ethan. How could he help them both? He felt trapped in a moment that spiraled into chaos. And just then, Jake's smirk turned sinister. You really don't know the whole story, do you? There's more, much more. What do you mean? Ethan demanded, backing away from the officer's grasp. But Jake simply laughed again. The sound harsh and mocking. I guess I'll have to reveal the next chapter myself. You will find out soon enough, Ethan. This isn't over. With that, he turned and walked out, leaving behind a silence that screamed of betrayal. Ethan felt the truth shift like sand beneath him. With Mia bound in scandal and his daughter's safety at risk, the stakes had shot through the roof. The questions crowded his mind. How deep did this betrayal run? And what secrets had Mia hidden that could explode their lives? He looked at her, desperation clawing at him, ready for whatever storm was about to break. Ethan felt the world close in around him. His heart raced, breath caught in his throat. He couldn't see Mia's fear, couldn't focus on Jake's mocking grin. All he could hear was the cries of Mia's daughter, the panic thrumming in his veins. Mia, please, just tell me it's not true, he begged, desperation clawing at him like a wild animal. I never took anything from you. Her voice was barely a whisper, shattered like glass. You have to believe me. I love my job. I would never hurt you. The officer moved closer, and anxiety shot through Ethan. He couldn't let her be taken away. His thoughts raced. He had to find a way. But then, a shadow shifted at the doorway. Ethan glanced back. A woman stood there. She was nearly unrecognizable, but the glint in her eyes sparked something deep inside. It was Lauren, Ethan's sister. What are you doing here? He exclaimed, surprised. She stepped into the dim light, her face tightened with concern. I had to see for myself. Her voice fell off as she took in the chaos surrounding them. Enough of this, Jake sneered, crossing his arms. This whole family is a mess. You're all pathetic. Shut up, Ethan yelled, feeling a surge of protective anger. This is about Mia and her daughter. But as Jake kept his twisted smile, Lauren stepped forward. You don't understand, Ethan. This isn't just about Mia. What do you mean? He asked, his brow furrowing. Suddenly, her expression shifted. You've been deceived, all of us have. There are things you don't know about Mia. Every pulse in Ethan's body thrummed with confusion. What do you mean? The officer looked back and forth, clearly uncomfortable. But Lauren's resolve was strong. She's not who you think she is. She's tied to everything that's going on, Ethan. Mia's wide eyes shifted from Ethan to Lauren. No, I'm not. I swear. Her hands trembled and the tension in the air thickened. Lauren pressed on, stepping closer to Ethan. There's more, Ethan, if you only knew. Before she could finish, Jake interjected. Let's just say Mia has her hands dirty with people we both know, and they're the reason this is happening. Ethan's mind spiraled. What people? What are you talking about? Suddenly Mia gasped, her face shifting from fear to dread. No, not them. Not this, she murmured. The officer, sensing the rising tension, raised his hand. Now, everyone needs to calm down. But before he could regain control, Lauren held out a small, sealed envelope. Ethan, I found this in Mom's old things. It's about Mia. You need to see it. His hand shook as he took the envelope, heart pounding in double time. The air felt charged, like electricity about to snap. What's in it? He demanded, his voice low. It's proof, Lauren whispered. Proof that will change everything, about her past, about all of us. The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, creeping closer. Ethan glanced back at Mia, whose eyes were locked onto him. Ethan, please. Before he could respond, the door swung wide open. More officers appeared, shouting orders. The chaotic scene shifted, and suddenly everything was a blur of blue uniforms and loud voices. Step away from the child, an officer barked, moving towards Mia's daughter. Ethan's breath stopped. No, don't touch her. He lunged forward, but the crowd surged, and with that surge, the envelope slipped from his hands, flying through the air, landing on the floor next to Mia. Every eye turned to it, and for a heartbeat, time froze. Then, all hell broke loose. Mia reached for the envelope. No, Ethan screamed, realizing that whatever was inside could shatter everything. In the scuffle, someone shouted, "Get down!" A loud crash shattered the tension, and the sirens grew louder. There was something bigger at play here, something that went far beyond Jake's accusations and Mia's fears. Ethan could only watch in horror as the chaos unfolded, desperation overwhelming him. What was that document hiding? What truth would it bring to light? Everything was spinning, and he felt utterly lost. Would he find the answers before it was too late? The envelope glided through the air, landing softly next to Mia, and time seemed to freeze. Everyone turned their gaze to it. An unspoken tension hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Mia's breath hitched, her eyes darting between Ethan and the envelope like a trapped animal. Ethan felt a surge of panic. Those words could unravel everything. "Mia, don't!" he shouted, desperation clawing at his voice. But it was too late. Mia dove for the envelope, hands trembling. "Please, I need to see it," she cried, almost pleading. "Don't open it." Ethan's heart raced, fear winding tighter around his chest. But it was already too late. Just as her fingers brushed the paper, there was a loud crash from the hallway, sending a wave of shock through the crowd. The front door burst open, slamming against the wall, and two figures stormed into the apartment, faces set with determination. "Get down!" one shouted as chaos erupted. It was Officer Blake, and next to him stood Mia, shouted a familiar voice. "I'm here to help." Ethan blinked in disbelief as his mother Lydia stepped forward. Confusion painted the scene. Her presence was the last thing he expected. But the chaos swallowed his thoughts as the officer barked orders, pushing everyone to the floor. "Mia, don't move," Officer Blake hissed. But Mia was already crouched over the envelope, her hands trembling more than ever. "Lydia, what are you doing here?" Ethan managed, shock coursing through him. "I got a call from Lauren," she said, urgency echoing in her voice. "She told me everything. No time to explain. We need to get Mia out of here." "What do you mean, everything? What's going on?" Ethan was caught in a whirlwind of confusion. Then, all at once, there was a shout from the back of the room. "You think you can take her? It's not that easy." Jake's voice cut through the chaos, his eyes glittering with something that felt like victory. Mia gasped, her hands suddenly still, clutching the envelope tightly. "You don't understand." And just like that, it happened. A blinding light burst from the envelope as Mia opened it, illuminating the entire room like a spotlight. Everyone fell silent, eyes wide with fear. Inside, a flash drive fell to the floor, clattering against the tiles. The chaos paused for a heartbeat, gasps escaping from the onlookers. "Wait, what is that?" Officer Blake whispered, stepping cautiously toward it, and for a moment, time seemed suspended. Mia's expression shifted. Something was rising in her. Not fear, but hard determination. "It's over, Jake," she exclaimed, her voice steady as stone. Jake staggered back, disbelief clouding his features. "You wouldn't dare!" But even as he spoke, a flicker of fear flickered in his eyes. Ethan felt the air shift, cold sweat trickling down his back. What was happening? Lydia stepped closer to Ethan, her eyes wide, filled with urgency. "This goes far deeper than I thought." Just then, Mia lowered her voice, almost a whisper but loud enough for everyone to hear. "If you want to know the truth, just look into what's on that drive. Jake's not the only one holding secrets." Shockwaves rippled through the crowd, each face reflecting a different kind of fear. Was Jake involved in something bigger than just a petty betrayal? Before Ethan could process it all, Mia's daughter, still clutched by the officer, yelled out, "Mommy!" Panic painted across her little features. The urgency cracked the air, tension mounting, like a dam about to burst. "Mia, you need to tell me, what is on that drive?" Ethan demanded, confusion and anger bubbling within him. But just as she opened her mouth, another blaring siren echoed outside. The sound was deafening. Shadows loomed everywhere as more figures rushed into the apartment, a news crew, their cameras flashing like lightning. Ethan's heart dropped. "No, not now." "What will you say, Mia?" Jake sneered, eyes dancing with malice. Your whole life could unravel in front of everyone. As chaos surged once more, Mia's eyes met Ethan's. There was something unyielding in her gaze, something resolute. "Trust me, Ethan. Just trust me." But trust felt tenuous, like walking on the edge of a cliff, and the ground below was crumbling. What truths lay hidden in that flash drive? What had Mia kept from him? Everything felt wild and chaotic, questions spinning like a whirlwind. The night shifted ominously, a storm of revelations on the horizon. And amidst this chaos, Ethan felt the sharp throb of uncertainty gnawing at him. Was the truth worth the risk? The envelope glided through the air, landing softly next to Mia, and time seemed to freeze. Everyone turned their gaze to it. An unspoken tension hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Mia's breath hitched, her eyes darting between Ethan and the envelope like a trapped animal. "Mia?" "Don't!" Ethan shouted, his heart racing, panic creeping in. But it was too late. Mia dove for the envelope, hands trembling. "Please, I need to see it," she cried, almost pleading. "Don't open it." Ethan's voice strained with urgency, but the world seemed to drift away. Just as her fingers brushed the paper, a loud crash erupted from the hallway, sending a wave of shock through the crowd. The front door burst open, slamming against the wall, and two figures stormed into the apartment, faces set with determination. "Get down," one shouted as chaos erupted. It was Officer Blake, and next to him stood Mia, shouted a familiar voice. "I'm here to help." Ethan blinked in disbelief as his mother, Lydia, stepped forward. Confusion painted the scene. Her presence was the last thing he expected. But the chaos swallowed his thoughts. "Mia, don't move," Officer Blake hissed. But Mia was already crouched over the envelope, her hands trembling more than ever. "Lydia, what are you doing here?" Ethan managed, shock coursing through him. "I got a call from Lauren," she said, urgency echoing in her voice. "She told me everything. No time to explain. We need to get Mia out of here." "What do you mean everything? What's going on?" Ethan was caught in a whirlwind of confusion. Then, all at once, there was a shout from the back of the room. "You think you can take her? It's not that easy." Jake's voice cut through the chaos. Mia gasped, her face shifting from fear to dread. "You don't understand." Just like that, a blinding light burst from the envelope as Mia opened it, illuminating the entire room like a spotlight. Everyone fell silent, eyes wide with fear. Inside, a flash drive tumbled out, clattering against the tiles. The chaos paused for a heartbeat, gasps escaping from the onlookers. "Wait, what is that?" Officer Blake whispered, stepping cautiously toward it. Mia's expression shifted. Something was rising in her, not fear, but hard determination. "It's over, Jake," she exclaimed, voice steady as stone. Jake staggered back, disbelief clouding his features. "You wouldn't dare." But even as he spoke, a flicker of fear washed over him. Ethan felt the air shift, cold sweat trickling down his back. What was happening? Lydia stepped closer to Ethan. Here, if you want to know the truth, just look into what's on that drive. Jake's not the only one holding secrets. Shockwaves rippled through the crowd, each face reflecting a different kind of fear. Was Jake involved in something bigger than just a petty betrayal? Before Ethan could process it all, Mia's daughter, still clutched by the officer, yelled out, "Mommy." Panic painted across her little features. The urgency cracked the air, tension mounting, a dam about to burst. "Mia, you need to tell me. What is on that drive?" Ethan demanded, confusion and anger bubbling within him. But just as she opened her mouth, there was a loud explosion from the hallway. The ground shook and bits of plaster rained down. From the ceiling, a flash of light blinded everyone. When the brilliance subsided, the apartment was filled with smoke. It obscured their vision, creating a veil of chaos. People screamed. Confusion erupted. Ethan gripped Mia's arm. "What just happened?" "I don't know," she shouted, panic rising. From the smoke, a figure emerged. A man cloaked in black, mask covering his face. "You've all been too blind," he yelled, voice booming through the haze. Ethan's heart raced. "Who was this? What do you want?" "Everything you think you know is a lie," the figure retorted, stepping closer. Jake staggered back. "What are you talking about?" The masked figure pulled out a device, raising it above his head like a trophy. "This is bigger than any of you. And this, it changes everything." Ethan's breath caught. What did he mean? The man activated the device. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out completely, plunging everyone into darkness. "We're all in this together." The figure's voice echoed eerily as he vanished into the smoke. All fell silent for a moment. Heartbeats loud, breaths held. And in that silence, questions loomed. What had just happened? What secrets were hidden in the darkness? The envelope glided through the air, landing softly next to Mia, and time seemed to freeze. Everyone turned their gaze to it. An unspoken tension hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Mia's breath hitched, her eyes darting between Ethan and the envelope like a trapped animal. "Mia, don't," Ethan shouted, his heart racing, panic creeping in. But it was too late. Mia dove for the envelope, hands trembling. "Please, I need to see it," she cried, almost pleading. "Don't open it." Ethan's voice strained with urgency, but the world seemed to drift away. Just as her fingers brushed the paper, a loud crash erupted from the hallway, sending a wave of shock through the crowd. The front door burst open, slamming against the wall, and two figures stormed into the apartment, faces set with determination. "Get down!" one shouted as chaos erupted. It was Officer Blake, and next to him stood "Mia," shouted a familiar voice. "I'm here to help." Ethan blinked in disbelief as his mother Lydia stepped forward. Confusion painted the scene. Her presence was the last thing he expected. But the chaos swallowed his thoughts. "Mia, don't move!" Officer Blake hissed. But Mia was already crouched over the envelope, her hands trembling more than ever. "Lydia, what are you doing here?" Ethan managed, shock coursing through him. "I got a call from Lauren," she said, urgency echoing in her voice. "She told me everything. No time to explain. We need to get Mia out of here." "What do you mean everything? What's going on?" Ethan was caught in a whirlwind of confusion. Then, all at once, there was a shout from the back of the room. "You think you can take her? It's not that easy." Jake's voice cut through the chaos. Mia gasped, her face shifting from fear to dread. "You don't understand." Just like that, a blinding light burst from the envelope as Mia opened it, illuminating the entire room like a spotlight. Everyone fell silent, eyes wide with fear. Inside, a flash drive tumbled out, clattering against the tiles. The chaos paused for a heartbeat, gasps escaping from the onlookers. "Wait, what is that?" Officer Blake whispered, stepping cautiously toward it. Mia's expression shifted. Something was rising in her. Not fear, but hard determination. "It's over, Jake," she exclaimed, voice steady as stone. Jake staggered back, disbelief clouding his features. "You wouldn't dare." But even as he spoke, a flicker of fear washed over him. Ethan felt the air shift, cold sweat trickling down his back. What was happening? Lydia stepped closer to Ethan, her eyes wide, filled with urgency. "This goes far deeper than I thought." Just then, Mia lowered her voice, almost a whisper but loud enough for everyone to hear. "If you want to know the truth, just look into what's on that drive. Jake's not the only one holding secrets." Shockwaves rippled through the crowd, each face reflecting a different kind of fear. Was Jake involved in something bigger than just a petty betrayal? Before Ethan could process it all, Mia's daughter, still clutched by the officer, yelled out, "Mommy!" Panic painted across her little features. The urgency cracked the air, tension mounting, a dam about to burst. "Mia, you need to tell me, what is on that drive?" Ethan demanded, confusion and anger bubbling within him. But just as she opened her mouth, there was a loud explosion from the hallway. The ground shook, and bits of plaster rained down from the ceiling. A flash of light blinded everyone. When the brilliance subsided, the apartment was filled with smoke. It obscured their vision, creating a veil of chaos. People screamed. Confusion erupted. Ethan gripped Mia's arm. "What just happened?" "I don't know," she shouted, panic rising. From the smoke, a figure emerged, a man cloaked in black, mask covering his face. "You've all been too blind," he yelled, voice booming through the haze. Ethan's heart raced. Who was this? What do? "Everything you think you know is a lie," the figure retorted, stepping closer. Jake staggered back. "What are you talking about?" The masked figure pulled out a device, raising it above his head like a trophy. "This is bigger than any of you. This flash drive holds the truth about who you really are." Ethan felt the color drain from his face. "What do you mean?" "Ethan," the man said, voice drowning in the smoke, "you're part of something larger than you can imagine. And Mia? She's not just an innocent employee. She's tangled in a web of secrets that connect back to you." Mia's eyes widened in horror. "No, that's not true." "Isn't it?" he pushed. "You think all this happened by chance? Your past, your family, it's connected to the darkness lurking behind this facade. And I can show you." Just then, the lights flickered back on. The man's face was now visible, his features familiar, sending a jolt through Ethan. It was someone he thought was long gone, someone he loved. "Mom?" he breathed, heart pounding, unbelieving. "Mia's not who you think she is, son," his mother replied, her voice trembling. "And neither are we." Before Ethan could process that, he froze, gripping the edge of the table, the ground shifting beneath him. His whole world was unraveling, the truth reeling dangerously close. What had he just walked into? And how could everything he believed in be so wrong? The tension lingered, dark and heavy, as Ethan felt the weight of 1,000 secrets crashing down. Ethan's hand trembled as he held the flash drive. Adrenaline shot through him. This was it, the moment of truth. But there, amidst the smoke and chaos, his mother's face morphed from worried to something darker, something he didn't understand. "Mia, put it away. Don't let him manipulate you," Lydia shouted, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. The way she said it felt charged, like she was speaking from a place of experience. But the chaos erupted again. Jake took a step forward, eyes wide with desperation. "You don't know what you're doing, Mia. These are dangerous people." For a moment, Ethan felt the room close in. His mind raced. What people? What secrets? He turned back to the masked figure, confusion eating him alive. "What do you mean by all this?" Then Mia's voice broke through the noise. "Ethan, please listen." Tears streamed down her cheeks, an emotional dam breaking. I never wanted this to come out. You don't understand what's at stake. We've all been blindsided, Ethan, his mother shot back. Mia comes from a world that you can't imagine. She has ties to powerful people, a past that's intertwined with us. Just when Ethan thought he had a grasp of the situation, everything shattered. A flicker of recognition crossed Jake's face. No, it can't be true. You're lying. His voice shook, fear creeping in. Mia straightened, her expression shifting from panic to something fierce, ignited by desperation. I'm not lying. This is what I've tried to protect you from. Ethan, if they find out... But before she could finish, the figure stepped into the light. The mask came off in an explosion of smoke, revealing a face Ethan never thought he'd see again. It was a face he had loved, a face he thought was lost forever. His estranged father. Dad, the word fell from Ethan's lips like a prayer and a curse all at once. Shock coursed through him, disbelief settling in. Surprised to see me? His father chuckled darkly, voice dripping with mockery. I always said the truth has a funny way of... Catching up. Ethan's world flipped again. The betrayal, the lies, everything he thought he knew, now muddled in confusion. How could you? What are you doing here? Doing what needs to be done, his father said, looking at Mia with disdain. You think she's the innocent party in all this? She's been playing both sides, leading you into the dark. No, Ethan shouted, pain erupting in his chest. You don't know her. You have no idea who she really is. But before he could argue further, a clash echoed from the hallway, shouts, footsteps, and chaos forming a perfect storm behind the door. Mia, get down, Officer Blake yelled as he lunged toward them, trying to shield Mia's daughter. In the panic, Mia clutched the flash drive to her chest. I have to protect her. The moment shifted, everything heightened and alive. It wasn't just about them anymore. It was about a child caught in the crossfire. But what was on that drive? What secrets did it hold? Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the room filled with what sounded like gunshots. Ethan's heart dropped into his stomach as the reality hit him. This was a fight for their lives. There were ghosts in this room. Ghosts he never wanted to see. Move, Lydia shouted, urgency escalating. As shadows shifted and chaos erupted, Ethan locked eyes with Mia one last time. He could see the fears swirling in her gaze, and they mirrored his own. In that split second, everything shattered and the door banged open, figures rushing in, clad in black uniforms, faces hidden. Nobody move, they barked, voices sharp as knives. With a sense of dread tightening his chest, Ethan wondered what would come next. What had they gotten entangled in? The flash drive slipped from Mia's grasp, crashing against the floor, and as the figures drew closer, it sparkled under the harsh light. An omen of secrets waiting to be unveiled. Would this reveal the truth or plunge them deeper into despair? The stakes had never been higher, and Ethan felt they were just beginning to scratch the surface of a darkness they couldn't escape. The flash drive slipped from Mia's grasp, crashing against the floor. It sparkled under a harsh light, a beacon of secrets waiting to be unveiled. As the black-clad figures drew closer, a quiet urgency settled over the room. Ethan could feel the heat radiating from the chaos, but his eyes were locked onto Mia's. Her trembling body told him everything he needed to know. This was a moment that could change everything. Get down, Officer Blake shouted again, the panic in his voice rising as he tried to shield Mia's daughter. Behind them, Jake's eyes darted nervously, searching for an escape. But Ethan felt rooted to the spot, adrenaline coursing through his veins, heart thumping loudly. Mia, he called, desperation edging his voice. Tell me what's on that drive. We have to know. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the air snapped with tension. A sudden explosion roared from the hallway, and the walls trembled as the door flew open again. Two more figures rushed in, arms raised, and before Ethan could fully comprehend, A thick fog rolled into the room. Tear gas. Choking and disorienting. "Get out! Get out now!" Officer Blake shouted, pushing everyone towards the exit. But Ethan couldn't move. He felt paralyzed, trapped in a whirlwind of confusion and fear. Then, just as chaos enveloped them, a voice cut through the haze. "Stop!" It was a woman, stepping forward through the thick gas, a commanding presence that seemed to push through the panic. As the gas began to clear, Ethan blinked, his heart racing. The woman's features emerged: long dark hair, fierce green eyes, and a face he hadn't seen in over a decade. It was Elena, his long-lost mother. "Mom," he gasped, disbelief crashing over him. "What are you doing here?" "Nothing is what it seems, Ethan." Her voice was steady, like she was guiding a ship through a storm. "I've watched your life from the shadows. This isn't just about Mia. This is about everything we've hidden." "Hidden?" Jake's voice quaked with disbelief. "What are you talking about? You're insane." "No, Jake, you've been blind," Elena retorted fiercely. "And it's time for the truth to come out." Ethan could barely keep up. The world spun around him, pieces of a puzzle he never understood, crashing over him. "What truth?" Elena glanced at Mia, her expression softening. "There's a reason your family cut ties with mine, a reason why I disappeared. Mia's past is linked to ours in ways you could never imagine." "What?" The word fell from Ethan's lips, confusion twisting in his gut. "No, this doesn't make any sense." But before he could process another thought, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, and a massive figure hurled themselves through the doorway, an armored officer. The man raised his weapon at them, eyes blazing with authority. "Get down!" But instead of reacting, Elena took a step forward, placing herself protectively in front of Ethan and Mia. "No, this isn't how it ends." "Mom, stop!" Ethan shouted. But panic seized his throat. With a swift motion, Elena reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device, pressing a button. A low hum filled the air, and for a moment, everything paused. Then the ground shook beneath them. A pulse of energy radiated outward, and the world erupted in blinding light. At that moment, the officer's face contorted, not in fear, but in realization, as though he had just grasped the entirety of the chaos around him. "What have you done?" he yelled, his voice laced with fury and fear. "What's on that device?" Jake shouted, desperation threading through his words. "What did you do, Elena?" But then it happened. As the light faded, the figures around them began to shimmer, shifting and transforming, revealing their true forms. Ethan's breath caught as he realized they weren't just police officers. They were agents, part of an organization built on deception that extended beyond the walls of his world. "What?" Mia's voice trembled, horror washing over her. Ethan's heart raced as he turned back to his mother, only to see her smile transform, wild and knowing. It's time for everyone to see who they really are and who they're meant to be. With that, the reality split around them. Truths shattering into fragments, relationships collapsing one by one. Ethan's chest tightened, the weight of betrayal bearing down on him. This was more than a fight for survival. It was a battle of identities, a reckoning where everything he believed about his family, about Mia, crumbled into dust. What had they stumbled into? What secrets lay hidden beneath layers of lies? The unsettling question echoed as the room fell into disarray. And amid this chaos, one thought haunted him. Was anyone ever truly who they appeared to be? Ethan felt the world teeter. The weight of betrayal pressed like a lead blanket. His heart raced, confusion mixing with disbelief. "Mom," he breathed, eyes locked on Elena. "What are you saying? What do you mean Mia isn't who I think she is?" The moments stretched, thick with tension. Mia stood frozen, sweat trickling from her brow. "I'm who I am," she cried, desperation filling her tone. "I don't know what she's talking about," but it was too late. The ground trembled beneath them as Elena took a deep breath, her eyes flicking to the flash drive. You don't even know, Ethan. This isn't just about our families. This affects all of us, right from the start. Ethan's stomach dropped. What did you do? He pressed, feeling the panic behind every question. What kinds of ties are there between your history and Mia? What's on that drive? Before she could respond, the armored officer took a step forward, voice low and threatening. Everyone needs to calm down. You're all in danger. Then Jake, who had been silently observing, stepped forward, wavering between anger and fear. Listen, this is nonsense. You're just trying to ruin
her further. His voice echoed, but Ethan barely heard it over the chaos in his mind. Everything was spiraling out of control. But before he could wrap his thoughts around it, a sharp crash erupted right behind the officer. Something heavy slammed against the floor. Gasps filled the air. A large man burst through the smoke, muscular and threatening, eyes filled with fury. "Step aside," he yelled, launching himself forward. The room erupted in gasps and cries, voices intertwining in confused panic. "Mia!" Ethan's voice broke as he instinctively moved toward her. To his horror, the man grabbed her, pulling her to him with a strength that made Ethan's stomach twist. "She's coming with me." "No, let her go," Ethan shouted. He felt like he was floating, fear clawing at him like a caged animal. But before anyone could react, Mia yanked free, her face a mask of determination. "I won't go with you," she screamed, pleading with everyone around them. "I have to protect my daughter." Elena stepped in front of Ethan, arms wide, voice shaking. "Let her make her choice. She's our only chance." "Your only chance?" The man spat with a laugh. "She's the risk." And then came the bombshell, as if the chaos weren't enough. The man grinned, pulling out a device from his pocket. "You honestly don't recognize me, do you? Mia isn't just connected to you, Ethan. She's your half-sister." Silence shattered the room. Everything stopped. Ethan felt something crush his heart, a confusing mix of fear and betrayal blurring everything around him. "What?" The word slipped out as he took a step back, everything he thought he knew in ruins. "That's why I've come," the man continued, swaggering closer. "The files on that flash drive will expose everything. Eric, our father, knew all along, divided us to keep the truth buried." Mia's breath hitched, pain reflecting in her eyes. "No, that can't be." But the admission hung in the air, heavy and treacherous. Ethan stood frozen, heart hammering, questioning everything. His love for Mia, the lies he'd trusted, the life he thought he had. Suddenly, panic flooded through him. "Is this why you've been so frightened, Mia?" He could see the truth crashing over her like a wave. "Is this why you kept everything from me?" Before she could answer, the door burst open once more. This time, officers flooded in, a torrent of blue and chaos, and the air crackled with tension and uncertainty. "Everyone out, now," they shouted, drawing weapons, ordering everyone outside. Ethan felt a surge of dread. Were they really safe? Or was this just the beginning? The truth was flipping their lives upside down as they scrambled to comprehend a reality they never wanted. Secrets piled like stones, burying them in darkness. As the officers began to usher everyone outside, Ethan turned to Mia. "Are you really my sister?" The question hung between them, heavy and unresolved. Her eyes searched, his trembling with fear and uncertainty. "I didn't know, I swear." But as the chaos unfolded around them and fears rose, one chilling thought echoed in Ethan's mind now. If Mia was his sister, what did that mean for everything they ever felt? Where did their relationship go from here? The ground felt unsteady beneath him as the turmoil continued, leaving Ethan breathless with unanswered questions. How deep did this go? As they rushed into the night, he knew one thing was certain. The truth was just beginning to emerge from the shadows. The smoke cleared as the officers swarmed around them, confusion blending with urgency. Ethan's head spun while he processed the latest revelation. Mia, his partner, his ally, was connected to a shadowy past he had never known. "Mia, what do you mean you didn't know?" He tried to shake off the shock, but the weight of his mother's words tightened around him like a vice. I swear, Ethan, I found out about... She faltered, glancing at the officers moving to secure the area. The drive, it holds everything, all the evidence against my family. Against yours. The realization struck Ethan, leaving his chest tight. Their lives had been intertwined far longer than either of them had comprehended. Can we trust anyone? He yelled, desperation harsh in his voice. Only each other, Mia replied, her voice steadier now. If we unite, we can fight this. We can find the truth, together. And in that brief moment, the chaos around them faded, leaving only the two of them, a flicker of hope igniting against the backdrop of the storm. Stay close, Officer Blake barked as he urged everyone outside. The air was thick with anxiety. Sirens howled in the distance, creeping closer like a villain in a nightmare. Ethan. Lydia suddenly appeared in his line of sight, battling against the chaos. We need to go, now, with Mia's hand in his, heart racing. They exited the building into the night. Outside, a cacophony of flashing lights and shouting voices enveloped them. The parking lot was filled with agents and media alike, press and cameras capturing everything. Ethan's stomach dropped at the sight. We need to... At Mia's daughter, he hissed to Lydia as they darted through the throng. They reached the squad car just in time. Beside the cruiser, Mia's daughter stood, her tiny frame wrapped in a blanket, wide eyes reflecting fear. Mia rushed forward, arms outstretched. Sweetheart. The moment their eyes met, the little girl leaped, falling into Mia's embrace. Mommy, she cried, relief flooding her voice. That singular sound cut through all the noise, collapsing Ethan's turbulent thoughts, down to one single truth: they had to protect her. The scene unfolded like a moving picture, an urgent crescendo as officers began to restore order. Everyone back, an officer shouted, pushing media out of the way. But Ethan felt an invisible grip pulling him, anchoring him to Mia and her daughter. Mia, he called, stepping closer despite the chaos. Whatever happens next, remember we're in this together. Mia nodded, her eyes shining with gratitude amidst the turmoil. Yes, we won't let them win. The conviction in her voice surged through him. He took a deep breath, transformatively steady. And as the world continued to rage around them, they joined hands, creating a united front against whatever truths would be revealed next. Then, from the shadows, a familiar voice boomed through the remnants of chaos. Do not fear, I'm here. It was Elena. Powerful, grounded, a force of nature. She stepped forward, a helping presence amid the chaos enveloping them. Ethan's heart soared. The drift of distrust momentarily eased. Mom, you're okay. Yes, and together we will uncover the truth about this family. Her voice trembled, conviction matching desperation. And what comes next? The officers moved the crowd towards safety while the cameras blurred their flashes, but there was nothing but silence for Ethan and Mia. It was their moment. Nothing would ever be the same again. In front of them stood possibilities, uncertain yet filled with promise. They had each other, a fierce resolve that pulsed brighter than the flashes around them. What do we do now? Mia whispered, eyes holding his with unyielding strength. We fight for our truth, he declared, pulling her closer. Together. As more voices erupted into the night, the remnants of parental whispers and doubts echoed, softly transforming into hope. They would face tomorrow head-on. And as the night unfolded, one thing became crystal clear amid the whirlwind of emotions. Family was more than blood. It was about choice, about unity. This wasn't just an ending. It was the beginning of a story they would each forge. Now you have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this finale. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. This is the moment to show your support.